The sun was harsh over the desert moon of Grey Call. The heat burned down on broken rocks and ancient ruins, long forgotten by the galaxy. But today, footsteps echoed through the stone paths. 6 armored warriors moved quickly, their movements sharp and trained. Their leader, Vecra, walked in front, her long blade resting on her back, her eyes glowing with focus. Vecra was one of the elite, raised in war, trained in battle, and known for never losing. She had fought beasts that could rip metal and faced creatures twice her size. But today was different. This mission wasn't about fighting monsters. It was about capturing a human. The message from the council was short. A human has entered. The ruins, investigate and remove. Humans weren't feared in this part of space. They were new to the galaxy, strange and small. No one respected them, not until now. As Vecra and her squad reached the edge of the ruins, they stopped. Down below, standing alone beside a collapsed altar, was the intruder. A man, tall for a human, wearing simple clothes. No armor, no weapon. He was just standing there as if he had all the time in the world. That's him, one of her warriors. Whispered, "He doesn't even look ready." Vecra narrowed her eyes. "Stay behind. I'll deal with him." She stepped down slowly, the stone crunching under her boots. The human didn't move. His arms were at his sides and his face was calm. No fear, no surprise. Vacra drew her blade. The sound echoed through the empty space. "You're trespassing," she said loudly. "Leave or face the result." The man tilted his head slightly. "I came to learn. I mean no harm." Vecra didn't wait. She rushed forward. Her blade flashed in the light, moving fast and sharp. She aimed straight at his chest, expecting the blade to cut deep and end as quickly. But the moment her blade touched him, it stopped. No blood. No wound. Her blade bounced off his chest like it had hit solid rock. She stepped back, shocked. But her hands shook slightly, though she quickly hid it. The man looked down at where she had struck him. He touched the spot lightly and then looked. "Back at her, you shouldn't have done that," he said quietly. Faree didn't know what to say. Her blade had cut through heavy armor and stone, but not him. Was it a shield? No, there was no sign of one. His clothes were still clean, and his skin looked normal. The warriors above were whispering. They saw what happened. Akra tightened. Her grip on the blade encircled around him. "What are you wearing?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Double quotes, just fabric," he replied. "You have protection underneath?" "No." "Then why didn't you bleed?" The man shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe your blade isn't sharp enough." Vecra's eyes burned. She charged again, faster this time. She struck 3 times each, blows stronger than the last. Shoulder, ribs, neck, all hit. She stepped back, breathing hard. He didn't even flinch. The man finally raised a hand. "I told you, I didn't come to fight." Vecra lowered her blade. Not because she wanted to, but because fear began to creep into her chest. She had never feared anyone. But now she stood before a human who could not be harmed by her weapon. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. "My name is Cole." "Yes." "Are you doing here?" "I came to study the ruins. They hold old power, and maybe some answers." Vecra stared at him. She had heard of strange human explorers, some who traveled not for conquest but for knowledge. But none were said to be invincible. She turned away. "You're coming with me." "Why?" "Because the council won't believe this unless they see it." Cole didn't move. "If you take me, they'll only fear more. They already fear unknown things." He nodded slowly. "No, it." Vecra looked up at her warriors. They were waiting for her command. She couldn't show doubt. "Not now. Prepare a transport," she said. "We're taking him back." But before anyone moved, the ground shook. A sudden wave of energy passed through the ruins. The old altar began to glow faintly. Cole looked back at it, his face filled with wonder. "You awakened something," he said softly. "Or maybe it was already awake." Vecra stepped forward. "What is it?" "I don't know yet," he replied. "But it feels old, and it doesn't like weapons." As he spoke, the warriors' weapons began to spark. One by one, their rifles shut down. Their armor lights blinked off. Even Vekra's blade started to hum strangely. Vekra pulled her blade away from Cole and looked at it. The edge was dulling, metal melting slowly as if the weapon itself was being erased. "Stand down," she shouted. The squad backed away. They had never seen anything like this. Cole raised his hands. "I'm not doing this." Vekra looked at him. "Then who is? It's this place," he whispered. "Maybe it's reacting to me." Vekra didn't speak. Her mind raced. Nothing made sense. She had walked in expecting an easy fight. Now her weapons were failing, her enemy untouched. Something deep beneath the ruins had stirred. As silence returned, Cole sat on a broken pillar. Call again. Peaceful.Vakra stared at him for a long time. For the first time in her life, she didn't know what her next move should be. The night was cold on the desert moon. Even the winds had gone quiet. Only soft echoes of falling sand whispered through the old ruins. Vekra stood near the edge of the cliff, watching the stars. Her blade, once shining with pride, now hung from her side like dead weight. It had been hours since the failed strike hours, since her strongest attacks bounced off. The human like they meant nothing. She couldn't sleep. Her thoughts circled again and again. How could a human survive a direct blade strike? How could he stand in the middle of ancient ruins, untouched by fear, and still be calm? Behind her, the rest of the squad had set up a camp, though most refused to go near Cole. He sat by a cracked stone wall, hands resting on his knees, eyes watching the stars just like her. He had not run, had not attacked, and yet everyone avoided him. Vekra turned back, walking slowly toward him. "You haven't moved all night," she said. Cole smiled gently. "Neither have you. You're not tired?" "A little, but the stars are peaceful." Vekra sat a few steps away. She didn't feel safe near him, but she also couldn't stay away. Something about him pulled at her thoughts. Not just fear, curiosity, confusion, maybe even respect. "I told the council you were weak," she said. "I told them humans were not a threat." "I've heard that before," Cole said softly. "Most of your kind think that. We've never seen what you really are." Cole turned to her, his face calm. "Maybe that's because we never wanted to be seen." Vekra didn't speak. She watched the ruins instead. Strange lights flickered near the old altar-dim glows that danced like ghosts. The energy had not faded since earlier. Something deep beneath the ground had been disturbed. "This place," Vekra whispered. "Why does it react to you?" "I think it remembers," Cole said. "Remembers what?" "Earth. Humans. Long ago, our ancestors might have touched this place, or something like us." Vekra stared at him. "So you're saying this ruin knows your kind, not me, not by name, but something in me matches its memory?" She shook her head. "That makes no sense." Cole chuckled. "Most things worth knowing never do." Suddenly, one of Vekra's warriors ran toward them. "Captain," the soldier shouted. "Our ship's power cells, they're draining." "Is working. It's like the energy is being eaten." Vekra stood quickly. "How many systems are offline?" "All of them." Vekra looked at Cole. "You did this?" "No," he said. "But I think the ruin is protecting itself now. It sees all our technology as a threat." Vekra turned to her squad and gave the order. "Move the camp away from the altar. Double the guards. No energy weapons, nothing that hums." The soldiers moved fast, fear clear on their faces. Not from enemies, but from the unknown power rising from the stones. "I'm sorry," Cole said. "Don't apologize," Vekra replied. "You warned me." They stood in silence for a while. Then Vekra asked something she'd been holding in her heart. "Why didn't you fight back?" Cole looked surprised. "I told you. I didn't come to fight. But if you had, if you truly tried, what would have happened to me?" Cole didn't answer right away. He looked down, thoughtful. "I don't know. I've never had to find out." Vekra's throat felt dry, not from fear, but from the weight of his words. You're kind, she said. You hide your strength. Not because we want to lie, Cole said, but because when humans get scared, bad things happen. So we stay quiet. We explore. We build. But some of us carry old instincts. Vecra narrowed her eyes. What instincts? To survive, no matter what. She remembered the way her blade bounced off his chest, the way the weapons around him failed. She believed him. The next morning the sun returned, hot and bright. The soldiers kept their distance from the ruins. Now, some even suggested leaving, but the transport ship was dead, as the ruin had drained all its power. Vikara knew they were stuck. Meanwhile, Cole walked the ruins like a traveler who had been there before. He gently touched old walls, whispered to the air, and sketched symbols in the sand. The more time passed, the more the ruin seemed to respond. Glowing lines followed his fingers. Stones shifted slightly under his steps. Even animals nearby came. Close without fear, VKRA followed from a distance, trying to understand. Cole looked human completely. But the way the ruin listened to him, it was as if he was something more later. While Cole sat alone near a glowing stone, Vecra approached. Again, how did your kind become like this? She asked. Earth was hard, Cole replied. Storms, hunger, wars. For thousands of years, we fought to live. Not because we were strong, but because we refused to give up. And now we've changed. Some of us evolved in ways no one expected, not just muscles or minds. Something deeper. Vecra looked at her own hands. Her people had trained for war all their lives. But this human he didn't train. He just was. Why didn't your leaders tell us? She asked. Because the galaxy feared us when we were weak. Imagine what they'd do if they saw us strong. Vecra thought about that. She believed him. Her own council would panic. They would strike first just to feel safe. What will happen now? She asked. Cole looked up. That depends on your people. Vecra lowered her head. Deep inside, something shifted. For the first time, she wasn't just afraid. She was unsure of her entire training, her understanding of strength, a weakness, of power. She looked at Cole again, sitting beside the glowing stone, like it was part of him. This was not a man who needed weapons. This was not a man who came to fight, and that made him more dangerous than anyone she had ever known. The council chamber was cold and bright, filled with silver walls and quiet whispers. High above the floor, alien leaders watched the report with sharp eyes. The images played on the large screen. Vecra, swinging her blade at the human. Each strike landing, each one failing. The room was silent. You're saying the human was unharmed? A voice asked, full of doubt. Vecra stood still, her arms behind her back. She nodded once. Yes, counselor, completely. And your blade, your strength, unchanged, and he did not fight? No, she said. He didn't even raise his hand. The council looked at each other. They had heard stories before, rumors of strange things on forgotten moons. Well, but this was no rumor. They had proof, recordings, scans, and now fear. What is this human's name? Another counselor asked. Cole Vecra answered. Claims to be a researcher, and yet machines fail near him. Weapons break, energy drains. Yes, the council sat quiet again. Then the high voice of the elder rang out. Do you believe he is a threat, Captain? Vecra hesitated. Not because she didn't know, but because her answer would change everything. No, she said. But if provoked, he could become one. The council ended the meeting without debate. They were worried. They didn't say it, but Vecra saw it in their eyes. They feared something they didn't understand. And when the galaxy feared, history showed, it always chose to strike first. Back on the desert moon, Cole sat in front of the altar. The ground under him glowed faintly now. The symbols he had drawn days before were brighter. They pulsed like a heartbeat, matching his breathing. He could feel the ruin now. Not just see it or hear it, but feel it deep inside his bones. It welcomed him. It remembered behind him a soft noise came. Footsteps. He turned and saw Vecra. Returning? You came back, Cole said calmly. The council is preparing, she said. For what? They won't say it, but I think They're afraid. Cole nodded slowly. I expected that. They sent me to watch you, Vecra added. Are you watching? He asked. She sat beside him. Yes. They were silent for a moment. Then, Cole spoke. This place, do you know what it is? You only found it a few years ago, Vecra said. Before that, no one even knew this moon existed. Cole smiled faintly. I think this place is older than your council. Maybe older than Earth. Vecra looked at the stone markings. They shimmered gently under the sunlight. How do you know? It speaks, Cole whispered. Not in words, but in memory. Vecra stared at him. You're strange. So are you, he replied. She gave a small smile. It's the first since they met. Far above the moon, another ship arrived. It was bigger than Vecra's, with black armor and heavy weapons. It hovered silently in orbit. Inside, generals from the Galactic Guard watched the same recordings the Council had seen. We have to act now, one of them said. He hasn't attacked anyone, another argued. Not yet. But look at what he did without trying. What if he did try? The generals agreed. They couldn't take the risk. Send the order, the leader said. Prepare to capture the human. The sky above the ruins turned dark as the large ship entered. The atmosphere. Cole and Vecra looked up. They're here, she said. Cole didn't move. How many? Too many. Cole stood slowly. The glowing marks under him dimmed as if going to sleep. Will you fight them? Vecra asked. No, Cole said, but they'll try. A voice echoed through the air. A loud command from the landing ship. Human known as Cole, stand down. Surrender immediately. Vecra looked at him. What will you do? Cole looked sad. I will wait. Several dropships landed around the ruins. Soldiers poured out, armed, with non-energy weapons, afraid to use machines that might break again. They moved carefully, surrounding the area. Their leader stepped forward. You are under arrest by order of the Galactic Guard, he said. Cole raised his hands. I don't want to hurt anyone. The leader nodded, then come peacefully. Psst, Cole stepped forward. But the moment he left, the altar's glow, the ground shook, the ruins groaned. Stones lifted slightly into the air and settled again. Soldiers flinched. Stop! One shouted, He's doing something! No, Vecra yelled. He's not. It's the ruin. It's reacting. The leader didn't listen. He ordered the soldiers to move in. When they did, everything stopped. Weapons froze in their hands. Armor cracked. Some helmets fell apart. Turning into dust, the soldiers stopped, stunned. Cole stood. Still, his face calm. I warned you. The leader tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Vacra stepped between them. This isn't war. Don't make it one. The general hesitated and gave a new order. Pull back. The soldiers stepped away. Slowly, carefully. Cole lowered his hands. What are you? The leader asked. Just a man, Cole said, but not alone. That night, the galactic ship left. Soldiers did not stay. No one was harmed. No one tried again. Vacra and Cole sat again under the stars. You could have stopped them all, she said. Double quotes, yes. But you didn't. 'Cause I'm tired of fighting, Cole replied. Earth taught us to survive. Now we must learn to live. Vecra looked at him, and what will you do now? Keep listening, Cole said, pointing to the ruins. They still have stories to tell. The wind blew softly across the ruins, carrying the warmth of the sun and the scent of old stone. Cole knelt beside the ancient altar, tracing his fingers along the cracks in the surface. The glowing symbols had faded again, resting quietly like sleeping embers. For now, everything was calm. Frax stood nearby, watching him as she always did. She no longer saw him as just a human intruder. Something about him felt older, deeper, like he didn't just walk into this place, he belonged. To it, you still believe these ruins know your kind? She asked. Cole looked up at her. I don't just believe it, I feel it. Vecra crossed her arms. What exactly do they feel? Cole smiled a little. Sadness. Silence. Like they've waited a long time for someone to return. Nothing. She glanced around the area. out. Her squad had stayed away ever since the failed capture attempt. Even her second-in-command refused to go near the altar. Some believed Cole was cursed. Others thought he was protected by some hidden force. But Vecra had seen something different. Control without force, strength without anger. "Do you really know what you are?" she asked. "I know I'm human," Cole said. "But I also know humans are changing." "How?" "We were once weak, Vecra, soft, but Earth changed us. Pain changed us. We learned to endure. Now some of us have changed in ways even we don't fully understand." Vecra looked at her own hands. Hands that had held blades since she was young. She had always thought power came from training, from battle. But now she wasn't so sure. "What made you come here?" she asked. "Why this moon?" Cole looked up at the sky. "Something in a dream. I saw these stones, heard their voices. Calling, I woke up and followed." Vecra blinked. "A dream brought you here. Maybe it wasn't just a dream." Far across the galaxy, in a council chamber built from crystal and light, the news of the failed capture spread. Recordings of the weapons breaking, of the soldiers falling back in fear, played on repeat. Leaders whispered behind closed doors. "This cannot go on," one council member said. "He must be removed before others see what he is." "Removed how?" another asked. "Nothing works near him." "Then strike from a distance, destroy the ruins, erase the threat." Some nodded, others hesitated. "If he's allowed to live," one warned, "others may follow him. The humans may rise." Silent agreement filled the room. A new order was given. Days passed on the desert moon. Cole and Vecra spoke often now. They shared stories of war, of survival, of hopes that never came true. Vecra had never talked to someone this much, not even her own kind. With Cole, words came easy. Maybe because he listened not just with ears, but with his heart. One morning, Cole stood near the altar and suddenly froze. His eyes narrowed. "What is it?" Vecra asked. "They're coming," he said. Their coat's heart jumped. "Who?" Cole looked up. "Ships, far above us. I can feel them." Vecra tapped her wrist device. No signal, no data. "Just silence. They've jammed our systems," she said. Cole closed his eyes. The ground under them began to hum again. "What do you think they'll do?" Vecra asked. Cole opened his eyes. "I think they'll destroy the ruins." Vecra stepped forward. "You have to leave." "No," Cole said. "If I leave, the ruins die. If they die, the galaxy loses something ancient." Vecra felt anger rise. "They will fire from orbit. You'll be killed. Then let them come." His voice was soft, but steady. Vekra clenched her fists. "I don't want you to die." Cole turned to her. "Then help me protect this place." In space, 3 massive warships lined up above the moon. Their weapons powered up, glowing with energy. The captains received the command. Fire in 5 minutes. On the surface, the altar glowed brighter than ever before. Cole stood in the center, his arms at his sides. Russ stood beside him. "What will happen?" she asked. "I don't know," Cole said, "but I think the ruins are ready." As the countdown started in the ships above, a strange light rose from the stones. Blue and white, it formed a dome above the ruins, covering everything in a soft, pulsing shield. The commanders in space panicked. Energy readings were too high. Their systems began to flicker on the ground. Cole reached forward and placed both hands on the altar. The symbols lit up like fire. The dome grew stronger. "They're charging their weapons." Vecra said. Cole didn't move. "Then let them fire." From the warships, beams of energy burst down toward the moon. They struck the dome, loud and bright, but instead of breaking it, the dome absorbed the energy, then sent it back in the sky. 2 of the warships exploded in silence, their pieces falling like stars. The last ship tried to retreat, but its engines failed. The ship drifted, powerless on the ground. The dome faded. Cole fell to his knees, breathing hard. The altar was quiet again, but its glow remained. Vert rushed to him. "Are you hurt?" He shook his head slowly, "Just tired." "What was That Cole looked at the altar? Not me. The ruin. It remembered how to protect itself. The next day, silence returned. But it wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of fear spreading across the galaxy. Every council, every power, every empire had seen the footage. A human, untouched by weapons. Ancient ruins awakening. Warships falling like leaves. They didn't understand what they saw, but they all agreed on one thing. Do not touch the human. Do not go near the ruins. Do not start something you cannot stop. And as for Vecra, she no longer feared Cole. She feared what would happen if he was ever taken from that altar. Because the galaxy might not survive his return. The ruins were quiet again, but they were no longer forgotten. After the warships fell from the sky, no one dared come near. Signals from the Galactic Council stopped. Ships that flew close to the moon lost power and drifted away. Only one small squad remained on the surface, and among them, two figures stood at the center of it. Al Cole and VAK, R.A. Cole, no longer walked through the ruins like a visitor. Now he moved like a guardian. The altar, once broken and silent, pulsed softly. Under his touch, each morning he stood beside it, hands resting on the stone. Listening to whispers only he could hear, the Care stayed close, watching him, studying him. She no longer carried her blade. After it dulled in his presence, she placed it aside and never touched it again. It was a reminder, a symbol of a past that no longer made sense to her. She had once thought power came from force. Now she knew better. Cole never raised his voice, never lifted a weapon, and yet entire fleets feared him. And he never wanted that fear. "You look tired," Becker said. One morning as Cole leaned against a stone pillar. "I am," he admitted. "The ruins speak louder now. It takes more from me." Becker stepped closer. "You don't have to stay. They won't attack again." Cole shook his head. "It won't stop forever. Fear always finds a way back." She frowned. "Then let me stay too." He looked at her and smiled gently. "You already are." For weeks they stayed together. During the day, Cole worked among the ruins, learning from the symbols, waking old machines hidden deep beneath the stone. At night, they sat by the fire, sharing food and stories. Vecra told him about her homeworld mountains, cold winds, warrior songs. Cole told her about earth trees, oceans, music that played under starlight. She laughed for the first time in years when he showed her how humans danced with no rhythm, but one evening the peace broke. A message came through a broken cum signal. Static buzzed for a moment, then a voice crackled through. "To any survivors of Moon Station Delta, this is Station Raylon. We need help. Something is happening. Please respond." Vecra and Cole exchanged looks. "Rallon is 2 systems away," she said. "A science station. Small crew. They don't have weapons." "Do we have a working ship?" Cole asked. "Only my squad's old transport barely flies. It'll do." Vecra blinked. "Ah! You want to go?" Cole stood slowly. They called for help. "If I can stop another war from starting, I should try." The next day, they repaired the transport with parts from broken drones and bits of old ruins. Vecra flew the ship. Cole sat beside her. Quiet, the stars moved past them like rivers of light. For the first time in weeks, they left the safety of the altar. Vecra felt uneasy. "Do you think the ruins will be okay without you?" she asked. "Yes," Cole said. "They're awake. Now they remember. What if this is a trap, and we face it together?" She nodded, trusting him more than her training ever told her to. After several hours, they reached Station Rallon. The lights were dim, no ships outside. The landing pad was empty. As they stepped out, a deep silence covered the area. Inside the station, they found broken walls, damaged labs, and flickering lights. Signs of a struggle, but no bodies, no blood, just absence. "What happened here?" Vecra whispered. Cole knelt beside a broken panel. He touched it lightly. "This wasn't an attack," he said. "This was fear, panic." "But what caused it?" Cole walked forward, following something unseen. Deeper in the station, They found a single survivor, a young alien scientist hiding under a table. Shaking. "It came out of the rift," the scientist whispered. "Something dark. We tried to study it, but it studied us back." Cole's eyes narrowed. "A rift?" "Yes," the scientist cried. "We opened it 2 weeks ago. Energy readings were strong, but it wasn't just energy. It was a thing. And when it looked at us, everything started breaking." Vecra helped the scientist sit up. "Where's the rift now?" "Lower level," he said. "Sealed, we think." Cole turned to Vecra. "I need to see it." On the lower level, the walls were bent inward, like pulled by invisible hands. Lights flickered in strange rhythms. As they approached the sealed chamber, a cold wind rushed through. Even though there was no air movement, the rift was still open. It hovered in the center of the room, a tear in space, like glass shattered into black fire. Shapes moved inside, but none stayed long enough to be seen. Vakara drew in a breath. "What is that?" Cole stepped closer. "Something not meant for this place." The rift reacted to his presence. The room trembled. Machines sparked. But unlike before, the energy didn't break. Instead, it bent toward Cole, recognizing him. "Can you close it?" Vecra asked. "I think so," Cole said. "But I don't know what it will cost." Vecra looked at him. "You've already done more than anyone. You don't have to do this." He turned to her. "I do. Because if I don't, this rift might spread. And the galaxy already fears humans too much. If they think we brought this..." She understood. Cole stepped into the light of the rift. His skin glowed faintly now, as if the ruin's power had followed him. He reached forward. The rift pushed back. Vecra watched in awe and fear as Cole stood firm. The rift shook. The walls cracked. But slowly, the tear in space began to shrink. The black fire turned to ash. The room grew still. Then silence. Cole collapsed. Vecra ran to him and caught him before he hit the floor. His eyes opened slightly. "It's gone," she smiled through tears. "You did it." They flew back to the moon. The stars seemed calmer. Station Rallin was safe again. The rift was sealed. And Cole, though weak, was still breathing. Vecra looked at him, resting beside her, and whispered to herself, "He's not just human. He's something more. And the galaxy has no idea how. Lucky it is that he chooses peace." The stars watched silently as the old transport ship returned to the desert moon. Inside, Vecra flew with steady hands while Cole rested in the seat beside her. His face was pale, his breath slow, but his heart still beat strong. The rift was gone. Station Rallin was safe. But closing the tear in space had taken something from Cole. His strength, once full and steady, now flickered like a small flame in the wind. Vakara glanced at him again. He didn't open his eyes, but his fingers twitched lightly. "We're almost home," she whispered. "Hold on." The moment the ship landed near the ruins, the glowing marks on the ground came to life. The altar, sleeping since Cole's journey, woke up again. The energy welcomed him back. It had missed him. Vakar helped Cole down the ramp, one arm around his shoulders. "They remember you," she said softly. Cole gave a weak smile. "I remember them too." She helped him sit at the base of the altar. His hand touched the stone, and the glow became brighter, warmer. Slowly, his color began to return. Not fully, but enough to show that he was healing. The ruins were more than stone. They were living memories, and they loved him. Word of the rift spread fast across the galaxy. At first, the councils stayed quiet. Then they released a small report. Scientific accident, now under control. No mention of Cole. No mention of what truly closed the rift. But the people knew. The guards who watched from orbit, scientists who survived. The recordings leaked, and soon the stars whispered one name over and over again. Cole. Some feared him, others called him a savior. And many began to ask questions. How could a human close a rift? What else could they do? And if one man could do this, what happens if more like him rise? Galactic leaders held secret meetings. Debates turned into arguments. But one warning stopped them all, a message short, clear: do not provoke the humans. You may not survive the answer. It was unsigned, but everyone knew where it came from. On the moon, days passed like calm waves. Cole grew stronger. Ruins remained peaceful. No more attacks, no more intruders. VKRA sat with Cole each morning. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they sat in silence. But the bond between them grew without needing many words. One evening, as the stars filled the sky, Cole spoke. I think it's time. Vecra turned to him. Time for what? To leave. She stared at him. Why? The ruins need you. They're connected to you. Yes, he said. But they're awake now. They'll protect themselves. And there are other places out there. Other ruins. Other rifts. I think this is just the beginning. Vecra looked down. Her chest felt heavy. So, you'll leave alone? She asked quietly. Not if you come with me, Cole said. She looked up in surprise. Me? She asked. You know the galaxy better than I do, he said. You've seen its beauty and its danger. I could use someone who sees clearly. Vecra was silent for a moment. Then she gave a small smile. I once tried to cut you down. Now you ask me to stand beside you. I trust you, Cole said. And I think you trust me too, she nodded slowly. I do. They spent one last night under the stars. The fire cracked softly. Small desert creatures moved around them, unafraid. The ruins pulsed gently like a farewell song. Cole placed one hand on the altar before leaving. Thank you, he whispered. The glow around the stone brightened once, then faded. A goodbye. As they boarded the repaired ship, Vecra looked back at the place that changed her life. She had come here to hunt a human. Now she was leaving as his partner in something greater. Ready? She asked. Cole smiled. Always. Their journey took them across systems forgotten by maps. They visited old worlds, met silent machines, and helped where they could. Sometimes they stayed for days. Other times, just hours. Everywhere they went, they left behind stories of peace, of protection, of a quiet human who did impossible things, and the galaxy watched. More humans came forward. Not warriors, not conquerors, just explorers, thinkers, healers. But people began to notice they were different, stronger in ways unseen, calm in ways that unsettled even the fiercest empires. The humans never claimed power, but power began to follow them. Years passed. Once a soldier known only for her blade, became a voice of reason in high councils. When she spoke, even kings listened. Cole, still quiet and kind, became a myth. Some said he could move stars. Others said he spoke to ancient machines. None truly knew. But all agreed he was not to be harmed. On the desert moon, the ruins still glowed, untouched, protected by the memory of one human and one alien who chose peace over war. No. One dared approach, not out of fear but out of respect, and as the stars turned slowly above, somewhere in a quiet part of the galaxy, Cole and Vecra stood side by side on another forgotten world, watching another rift, another ruin, another chance to protect what mattered. They didn't wear crowns, they didn't command armies, but the galaxy had learned. A species by their silence, because one blade couldn't cut him. And now the stars themselves knew better than to try.